In a quiet, desolate village nestled in the shadow of an ancient forest, lived a man named Elias. He was a frail, unremarkable figure, a loner shunned by the villagers for his peculiar demeanor. Elias worked as a woodcutter, his days spent in the solitude of the dense woods, far from prying eyes. Elias had always felt a strange connection to the forest. The villagers whispered that his family was cursed, that a dark secret lingered in their bloodline. He paid no heed to their rumors, attributing his sense of unease to his lonely existence. One bitterly cold evening, while chopping wood, Elias noticed something glimmering under the snow. It was a peculiar, ancient amulet, cold to the touch and etched with cryptic symbols. Intrigued, he pocketed the trinket and continued his work, unaware that his fate was now irrevocably tied to this ancient relic. That night, the chilling wind howled through the village, carrying with it a sense of dread. Elias tossed and turned, plagued by vivid, nightmarish visions. He dreamt of a monstrous creature, a werewolf with eyes like molten gold and fur as black as the abyss. The beast roamed the forest, its howls echoing through the night, leaving a trail of terror in its wake. As days turned into weeks, Elias began to change. His once gaunt frame grew stronger, his senses sharper. He found himself drawn deeper into the forest, compelled by an insatiable hunger he could not explain. The villagers noticed his transformation, their fear growing with each passing day. One moonless night, the village was shaken by blood-curdling screams. The full moon rose, casting an eerie glow over the forest. Elias, now barely recognizable, felt an overwhelming surge of power. His bones twisted and snapped, his body contorting painfully as he transformed into the very creature from his nightmares. The werewolf, driven by an uncontrollable rage, tore through the village. Houses were reduced to rubble, and the villagers fled in terror. The beast's eyes gleamed with a malevolent hunger as it hunted its prey, its howls reverberating through the cold night air. In the chaos, Elias's humanity flickered like a dying ember. He fought against the monstrous urges, desperate to retain his sanity. But the curse was too powerful, the amulet's dark magic binding him to the beast within. As dawn approached, the werewolf retreated into the shadows, leaving behind a village in ruins. Elias, now a slave to his curse, vanished into the forest, his pathetic, lonely life replaced by a monstrous existence. The villagers, haunted by the horrors of that night, spoke in hushed tones of the werewolf that lurked in the forest. They whispered of Elias, the man who had become a monster, and the ancient curse that would plague their village for generations to come. But the story of Elias and the werewolf was far from over. The ancient amulet held secrets yet to be uncovered, and the true nature of the curse was still shrouded in darkness. The villagers lived in constant fear, knowing that one day the beast would return, and the nightmare would begin anew. Years passed, and the memory of Elias and the devastation he wrought became a chilling legend. The villagers rebuilt their homes, but the fear lingered. They spoke of the forest with reverence and dread, avoiding it at all costs. Children were warned to never venture too close, for the werewolf might be watching. A new generation grew up hearing the tales of the beast, and among them was a young woman named Alara. Alara was different from the other villagers. She had a curious mind and a fierce determination to uncover the truth behind the legends. Her grandmother, one of the few who remembered the night Elias transformed, often told her stories of the cursed amulet and the dark magic that ensnared him. One frosty winter evening, Alara found herself standing at the edge of the forest. She felt a strange pull, as if something within the ancient woods was calling to her. Ignoring the warnings, she stepped into the shadows, her breath visible in the cold air. The forest was eerily silent, the only sound the crunch of snow beneath her boots. Alara wandered deeper, guided by an inexplicable sense of purpose. Hours passed, and just as she was about to turn back, she stumbled upon a hidden glade. In the center, half buried in the snow, was an old, weathered chest. Her heart racing, Alara opened the chest to find an assortment of strange artifacts, including an ancient, tattered journal. As she flipped through its pages, she realized it belonged to Elias. The journal chronicled his descent into madness, the discovery of the amulet, and the horrors that followed. Alara's eyes widened as she read Ilias's final entry. It spoke of a way to break the curse, a ritual hidden in the depths of the forest. The amulet, he wrote, was both the source of his torment and the key to his salvation. Determined to end the cycle of terror, Alara resolved to find the ritual site and put an end to the curse once and for all. That night, as she prepared for her journey, Alara felt the weight of the village's history upon her shoulders. She knew the path ahead was fraught with danger, but she was undeterred. With Ilias's journal as her guide, she ventured into the forest under the light of the full moon. Unbeknownst to Alara, she was not alone. From the depths of the forest, a pair of golden eyes watched her every move. The werewolf, once Elias, sensed her presence and felt a stirring of something long forgotten. Was it fear? Hope? The beast could not tell, but it knew that its fate was now intertwined with hers. As Alara delved deeper into the forest, the air grew colder, the shadows darker. She could feel the amulet's power pulsing through the trees, guiding her toward the heart of the curse. The forest seemed to come alive, whispering secrets and warnings, but Alara pressed on, her resolve unwavering. The villagers, unaware of Alara's quest, began to notice strange occurrences. Livestock vanished, eerie howls filled the night, and an ominous sense of foreboding settled over the village. They feared the return of the werewolf and prayed for deliverance. Meanwhile, Alara reached a clearing where ancient stones formed a circle around a weathered altar. She recognized it from Ilias's descriptions and knew she had found the ritual site. As she began to prepare the ritual, the forest grew deathly silent. The werewolf emerged from the shadows, its eyes locked onto Alara. For a moment, time stood still. Alara and the werewolf stared at each other, the weight of centuries pressing down upon them. With trembling hands, Alara raised the amulet, its cold surface glinting in the moonlight. She recited the incantation from Ilias's journal, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. The ground trembled, and a blinding light enveloped the clearing. The werewolf howled in agony as the curse fought to maintain its hold. Alara continued the ritual, her determination unwavering. She could feel the curse weakening, the amulet's power waning. Just as it seemed the curse would be broken, a deafening silence fell. The light faded, and Alara found herself alone in the clearing. The werewolf was gone, but so too was the amulet. Confused and exhausted, she collapsed to the ground, wondering if she had truly succeeded. As dawn broke, Alara returned to the village, her heart heavy with uncertainty. The villagers, sensing a change in the air, greeted her with cautious hope. Alara shared her story, and while some were skeptical, others believed the curse had finally been lifted. But in the depths of the forest, a shadowy figure watched from the darkness. The werewolf, now free from the amulet's control, lingered in the woods, its fate forever bound to the ancient curse. The villagers, unaware of the lingering danger, went about their lives, hopeful yet wary. Alara, determined to protect her village, vowed to uncover the truth behind the curse and find a way to end it once and for all. She knew her journey was far from over, and the secrets of the forest still awaited her. And so, the legend continued, the intrigue deepened, and the true nature of the curse remained shrouded in mystery. In the weeks following Alara's return, the village experienced a tentative calm. The eerie howls ceased, and the villagers began to hope that the curse had finally been lifted. Alara, however, could not shake the feeling that her task was incomplete. The forest still called to her, its secrets whispering just beyond her reach. One evening, as Alara pored over Ilias's journal, she discovered a hidden compartment in the back cover. Inside was a folded map, yellowed with age, marked with cryptic symbols and notes in Ilias's handwriting. It detailed a series of ancient ruins deep within the forest, places Elias believed held the key to understanding the curse. Determined to uncover the truth, Alara set out at dawn, the map clutched tightly in her hand. The journey was arduous, the forest growing denser and more foreboding with each step. Strange symbols carved into trees seemed to guide her, though she could not decipher their meaning. After hours of trekking, Alara stumbled upon the first set of ruins. Moss-covered stones formed the remnants of an ancient temple, its walls adorned with faded carvings. As she examined the carvings, she noticed a familiar symbol, the same one etched into the amulet. Suddenly, a voice echoed through the temple, low and haunting. "Who dares disturb the sanctuary?" it intoned. Alara spun around, her heart racing. Standing before her was a spectral figure, its eyes glowing with an ethereal light. "I am Alara," she said, mustering her courage. "I seek to end the curse that plagues my village." The spectre regarded her for a long moment before speaking again. "The curse is not what it seems," it said. "It is a consequence of ancient sins, a balance that must be maintained. To end it, you must face the truth of its origin." The spirit extended a ghostly hand, pointing to a hidden chamber within the ruins. "Inside, you will find the answers you seek. But be warned, the truth may be more than you can bear." Alara entered the chamber, her pulse quickening. Inside, she found an ornate pedestal holding a second journal, even older than Ilias's. The writings were cryptic, detailing a dark pact made centuries ago between the villagers' ancestors and a powerful forest spirit. The pact, forged out of desperation, granted the villagers protection in exchange for a sacrifice, a human soul bound to the forest, transformed into the werewolf. The amulet was the seal of this pact, passed down through generations to ensure the balance remained. Alara's mind raced as she realized the enormity of the curse. It wasn't simply about breaking the amulet's power. The very foundation of her village's existence was built upon this dark bargain. She felt a surge of anger and determination. She would not allow her people to be pawns in this ancient game any longer. With the journal in hand, Alara returned to the village, her resolve stronger than ever. She gathered the elders and shared the truth she had uncovered. The villagers were horrified, their faith shaken. They realized that their ancestors' sins had doomed them to a cycle of fear and bloodshed. The village's spiritual leader, a wise old woman named Serafina, stepped forward. "We must atone for the sins of our forebears," she said. "Only by acknowledging our past and making amends can we hope to lift the curse." Together, they devised a plan, a ritual of reconciliation, to be performed under the light of the full moon, at the heart of the forest. It would be dangerous, and the werewolf, Elias, would surely be drawn to it. But it was their only hope. As the moon rose, casting an eerie glow over the village, Alara led a procession into the forest. The air was thick with tension, each step fraught with danger. They reached the clearing where Alara had found the ritual site, the stones now glowing with a faint, otherworldly light. Serafina began the incantation, her voice resonating through the trees. The villagers joined in, their voices rising in a chorus of penitence and hope. The ground trembled, and from the shadows, the werewolf emerged, its eyes locked onto Alara. For a moment, the beast hesitated, a flicker of recognition in its golden eyes. Alara stepped forward, the ancient journal in one hand, the amulet in the other. "Elias," she called out, her voice steady, "you are not alone. We are here to end this cycle, to free you and ourselves from this curse." The werewolf howled, its form shifting, fighting against the transformation. The ritual's power surged, and a blinding light enveloped the clearing once more. The villagers chanted, their voices unwavering, as the amulet shattered in Alara's hand. The light faded, and in the clearing stood a man, Elias, his body frail but his eyes clear. The curse was broken, the ancient pact dissolved. The forest seemed to sigh in relief, its oppressive weight lifting. Elias, now free, approached Alara. "Thank you," he whispered, his voice hoarse. "You have given me a second chance." Alara nodded, tears in her eyes. "We did it together." As dawn broke, the villagers returned home, their hearts lighter. The forest, once a place of fear, now held the promise of renewal. But the journey was not over. Alara knew there were still many secrets to uncover, many truths to face. The village, united by their shared ordeal, began to heal. They worked to rebuild not just their homes, but their connection to the forest and to each other. Alara, now a respected leader, vowed to ensure that the past would never be forgotten, that the sins of their ancestors would never again cast a shadow over their future. Yet, deep in the heart of the forest, the echoes of ancient magic still lingered, whispering secrets and promises of power. And so, the legend continued, The intrigue deepened, and the true nature of the forest's secrets awaited discovery. Months passed, and the village flourished under Alara's guidance. The forest, once a place of fear, became a symbol of renewal. However, despite the village's prosperity, Alara couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The whispers in the forest had grown louder, more insistent. One fateful night, under a blood-red moon, Alara felt an irresistible compulsion to return to the heart of the forest. The ancient journal she had found in the ruins had hinted at a deeper, darker secret, one she had chosen to ignore. But now, the pull was too strong to resist. She ventured alone, her footsteps silent on the forest floor. As she approached the clearing, a sense of foreboding washed over her. The stones of the ritual site were glowing ominously, and the air was thick with a malevolent energy. In the center of the clearing stood Elias, his form flickering between man and beast. His eyes, once filled with gratitude, now burned with a savage hunger. "Alara," he rasped, his voice distorted. "You freed me, but the curse was never truly broken. It has merely taken a new form." Alara's heart pounded as she realized the terrible truth. The curse had not been lifted, it had simply evolved. The dark magic that bound Elias to the werewolf had latched onto the village itself, drawing strength from their attempts at reconciliation. Desperate, Alara raised the ancient journal, searching for a solution. But the pages were blank, the words vanished. Panic surged through her as she realized she had been deceived. The forest spirit, bound by the pact, had manipulated them all. Elias's transformation completed, the werewolf lunged at Alara. She fought valiantly, but the beast's strength was overwhelming. As darkness closed in, she saw the villagers rushing to the clearing, drawn by the commotion. Too late, they realized the extent of their mistake. The werewolf, now a manifestation of the village's own hubris and desperation, tore through their ranks, its fury unstoppable. The ancient curse, fueled by the villagers' collective guilt and fear, consumed them all. In her final moments, Alara's thoughts turned to the future. She had tried to save her people, but in her quest for truth, she had unleashed a greater horror. As the life faded from her eyes, she whispered a silent apology to the forest and its ancient spirit. The village, once full of hope and renewal, fell silent. The forest reclaimed its dominion, the shadows growing deeper and more menacing. The legend of Elias and Alara became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the price of tampering with forces beyond understanding. Generations later, travelers would speak of a cursed village deep in the woods, where the howls of a fearsome beast echoed through the night. They whispered of a brave woman who sought to break a curse, only to fall victim to its insidious power. The true nature of the forest's secrets remained shrouded in darkness, a tragic ending to a tale of hubris and sacrifice.